Right, let's jump straight into it. Welcome to this explainer where we're going to explore what is arguably the rarest, most electrifying individual achievement in all of football, the FIFA World Cup hat-trick. We're going to break down the stats, the completely wild records, and the anomalies of this insanely exclusive club using historical data and actual match reports. But, to really grasp the sheer gravity of scoring 3 goals on the world's biggest stage, we've got to start with the ultimate pressure cooker. So we're taking it all the way back to the absolute drama of the 1966 World Cup final.
They think it's all over. It is now. It's 4. If you follow the game, you can probably hear those exact words echoing in your head right now, right? This absolutely iconic quote from BBC commentator Kenneth Wolstenholme perfectly captures the pulse-pounding tension of that 1966 final. We are talking about the highest stakes imaginable here. A grueling match pushed to its absolute physical limits in extra time, and a moment that quite literally cemented one player's name into the history books forever. Section 1. The 1966 Wembley Miracle, a historic final stage. Let's just map out the emotional roller coaster of that day for a second. West Germany strikes first in the 12th minute with Helmut Haller, but then, barely 6 minutes later, Geoff Hurst equalizes for England. Fast forward to the 78th minute, Martin Peters gives England the lead, and you can feel it. They are agonizingly close to lifting the trophy. But wait, in the 89th minute, Wolfgang Weber levels it up for West Germany, forcing extra time. I mean, the tension inside Wembley Stadium must have been absolutely suffocating. Then, in the 101st minute, Hurst scores again. And finally, right at the death, in the 120th minute, Hurst strikes for a 3rd time. The back-and-forth mental resilience required to pull something like this off is just staggering. Now, obviously, we can't talk about 1966 without addressing that 101st minute strike, the infamous Wembley goal. There's a massive, fascinating historical contrast here. See, the ruling on the pitch was final. The ball hits the underside of the crossbar, bounces straight down, and Soviet linesman Tofik Bahramov gives the goal. Done deal. However, modern science paints a wildly different picture. Detailed film analysis and computer simulations from Oxford and Imperial College London later concluded that the whole ball didn't actually cross the line. It was 18 centimeters short. Now listen, we aren't picking sides here today. Whether you view it as a perfectly legitimate goal or a massive stroke of luck, the fact remains it is one of the most hotly debated moments in all of sports history. And here's the funny part. By the 120th minute, Geoff Hurst wasn't even necessarily looking for personal glory. He gets a long pass from Bobby Moore, carries it forward as fans are literally starting to stream out onto the pitch. And, as Hurst himself later admitted, he just wanted to boot the ball as far into the stands as humanly possible just to waste time. But instead, he smashed it straight into the top corner of the net. That completely accidental masterpiece sealed a historic hat-trick and secured England's first and, to date only, World Cup title. Section 2. Anatomy of a hat-trick. Zooming out on a rare feat. 54. Out of 22 tournaments spanning over 90 years of World Cup history, a player scoring 3 goals in a single match has only happened 54 times. When you stop and consider the thousands of world-class forwards who have graced this tournament over the decades, that number is astonishingly low, isn't it? And if scoring just one hat-trick is that rare, joining this specific elite club is nearly impossible. Only 4 players in the entire history of the men's game have ever managed multiple hat-tricks across World Cup tournaments. You've got Argentina's Gabriel Batistuta, Hungary's Sandor Kostis, France's Just Fontaine, and West Germany's Gerd Müller. But you know what's even wilder than that? Batistuta is the only player to do it in 2 different World Cup editions, 1994 and 1998. Oh, and both of them happened on the exact same calendar date, June 21st. I mean, you literally can't write this stuff. Now, it is super interesting to see how tactical evolution impacts scoring over the years. Look at the 1954 World Cup in Switzerland. It was an absolute shootout, featuring a record 8 hat-tricks with teams averaging an incredible 5.4 goals per game. Then, fast forward to the 2006 World Cup in Germany. Across all 64 matches, you know how many hat-tricks there were? 0. Not a single one. This perfectly highlights how this shift from the high-flying, heavily offensive mindset of the 1950s to the much more rigid defensive discipline of modern football has made this feat harder than ever to pull off. Section 3. The extremes and firsts. Breaking down the record books. Did you know that for 76 years, there was a massive historical debate over who actually scored the very first World Cup hat-trick? For decades, FIFA officially credited Argentina's Guillermo Stavele, who scored 3 against Mexico on July 19, 1930. But actually, 2 days prior to that, the USA's Bert Patinaud scored 3 against Paraguay. So what was the problem? Well, one of Patinaud's goals was mistakenly credited as either an own goal or assigned to one of his teammates in the official records. It wasn't until November of 2006, after some seriously extensive historical research, that FIFA finally corrected the record books. They stripped away the myth and rightfully crowned Patinaud as the true first hat-trick scorer. 7. That's all the time it took. Just 7 minutes. Back in 1982, Hungary's Laszlo Kiss came onto the pitch as a second-half substitute against El Salvador. In the 69th, 72nd, and 76th minutes, he found the back of the net. To come off the bench cold, immediately acclimate to the frantic pace of a World Cup match, and score 3 times in 7 minutes, that is a speed record that remains completely, entirely unmatched today. And the beautiful thing about World Cup brilliance is that it isn't confined to a specific stage in a player's career. Take the youngest, a 17-year-old prodigy named Pele, who completely shocked the world by netting a hat trick against France in the 1958 semifinal. Just a kid. Now compare that to the oldest, a 33-year-old Cristiano Ronaldo, who delivered an absolute masterclass against Spain in 2018, capping the whole thing off with a dramatic last-minute free kick to secure a 3-3 draw. From teenage debutantes to seasoned veterans, that magic can strike at absolutely any age. Section 4. 5 goals in 1 game. The ultimate anomaly. So, all of this naturally begs the question, has anyone ever scored 5 goals in a single World Cup match, eclipsing the legends we just talked about, guys like Pele, Müller, Fontaine? The answer is incredibly yes, and the story behind it is pretty wild. You have to consider the frankly unbelievable facts surrounding Oleg Salenko's 1994 campaign for Russia. Going into their final group game against Cameroon, Russia's chances of actually advancing were incredibly slim. Playing in California in a blistering 40 degrees Celsius, so that's over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, just for context, Salenko proceeded to score 5 goals with his right boot. 5. Breaking the previous tournament record of 4. He ended up sharing the entire tournament's golden boot with Bulgaria's Hristo Stoichkov based on that performance. But here's the absolute craziest part of this whole story. After that tournament, Salenko never played an international game for Russia again. A brief, spectacular flash of history, and then he was just gone. Section 5. The ultimate final stage. Bringing it full circle. When you zoom out, only 2 men have ever scored a hat trick in a World Cup final, yet their ultimate fates couldn't be more different. In 1966, as we saw, Geoff Hurst's 3 goals carried England to a 4-2 victory and eternal glory. Contrast that with Kylian Mbappé in 2022. Mbappé delivered what is easily one of the greatest individual performances ever seen on a pitch, rescuing France from a 2-0 deficit by scoring 2 goals in just 97 seconds, and then casually adding a third in extra time. Yet, despite his historic hat trick, his team still lost on penalties. It's just a poignant, slightly brutal reminder that while a hat trick represents the absolute pinnacle of individual brilliance, football remains undeniably a team game. Which leaves us with this final thought to chew on. In 2026, the World Cup is officially expanding to 48 teams. That means more matches, more chaos, and entirely fresh opportunities for history to be written. The pressure is going to be immense, the stage will be larger than ever before, and the whole world will be watching. So who has the nerve, the skill, and the perfect timing to be the next player to enter football's most exclusive club? Keep that in the back of your mind the next time you watch a forward step onto the pitch. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.